everybody. Welcome into the Orange Zone podcast. That's Ashley Wenskoski. We have James Mungro. Rachel Culver is on the producer mic. I'm Samantha Croston. Thanks so much for joining us for another episode. Syracuse is 2-0. They are just coming off a bye week, and they are facing Stanford, who is currently 1-1. How are we feeling?
Coming off a bye week, Syracuse should be rested, ready to go. The thing here is that both of these teams are actually coming off of a bye week. Stanford is as well. But welcome to the ACC, Stanford. This is Stanford's first conference game. A little warm welcome in the JMA Dome.
Yeah, and there's thank God. I mean, we could have them in the wintertime, spare a little bit of winter here. But, it's early for them still, and it'll be a long plane ride here. But welcome to the ACC, Stanford.
Do you want to ask a question right off the bat, which is, did you like having, as a college player, did you like having a bye week? Is rest always a good thing? Or from a mental standpoint, is there anything you need to overcome in that sense?
Well, from a player standpoint, obviously if you're injured, that's going to help you, being on the bye week. For a coach's standpoint, bye weeks are very dangerous for the simple fact that players have a little bit extra time. You don't want to see thank God we didn't see no players in the paper at all over the weekend. So that was a positive thing here for Syracuse. But I think the kids are really focused on the objectives, and that's winning this game coming up. And, bye weeks are always fun, be able to spend a little time out with your friends and stuff like that. But, again, you're there for a purpose. That is to win ball games.
That's absolutely right. Stanford enters this matchup 1-1. They lost to TCU, and then they beat Cal Poly. The loss was a 34-27 loss at home to a solid TCU team. So maybe we'll just start there. What have you guys thought about Stanford? I know this is a new opponent. Syracuse and Stanford are actually meeting for the first time ever. But have you guys, picked up anything or anything stick out to you guys?
Yeah, I think Stanford doesn't know probably where they are as a team yet through the first two games. I think, right, you lose to a TCU team that's the only FBS opponent that they've played, and then they blow out Cal Poly, but how much of a test really is that? I think you have to look at, and we can get into this a little further, but you have to look at the quarterback, Ashton Daniels. He kind of struggled to pass against TCU, and that's been their lone FBS game. Thrived against Cal Poly. In that TCU loss, we also saw Stanford's secondary really kind of get exploited, which is a good sign for Syracuse.
I think so. I mean, Stanford's going to come here, and they're going to be ready to play. Stanford's program is always a great program. Smart students there. They'll be ready to play. The first game was tough for them. The second game they came back. They rest like we had rest as well. So I think the third game is going to be a lot more from them.
As per usual, at the Monday morning press conference, Fran Brown had nothing but good things to say about his opponent. So I feel like he has kept that professionalism as far as not underrating any opponent. I think, again, a really interesting opportunity here to potentially go 3-0. You would think after that they would go 4-0, which leads us to UNLV, which is a game I know a lot of people have their eyes set on. Here's another interesting thing that he said at the press conference that I wanted to bring up to both you guys. He was talking about the attendance, which we have seen go up, at least the official attendance, which you can find on the Syracuse football box score from the first to the second game. Now, this is a Friday primetime matchup, so you would think if there's going to be any game where attendance is important, it's this one. He said that with the students, he feels like he's built a good enough relationship with them that he expects that they'll be there. But as for the fans who are not students, he said, pretty honestly, that he thinks that they need to be more consistent. He's like, we have to work really hard to become the main event here because there are other things in the fall that people in Syracuse want to go to. What do you think about that?
Well, I think, the fan base, speaking as having a kid that just graduated, the fans are going to be there. And, tough things on Friday night games, unfortunately, is there's Friday night sports and other things. People have kids. So, yeah, obviously, pick a game, go to a Syracuse game or attend your family function for your child. I'm going to pick my family function over my child. I love the university, but that's just the way it goes. And I think he would do the same thing as well. But, without saying my kid now is in college, I'll be at the game. So there's no other.
I love that. Mungro bringing a little dad perspective.
There's no.
Love that.
No, I'm just saying as a parent, and as a big Syracuse fan, you got to pick what comes first and what doesn't. So.
Yeah, I think through the first 2 games, I believe the Dome has been pretty packed, but not quite sold out.
Right.
And it appears like that's where we are for this game as well. I saw yesterday there was about 3,500 tickets left. That was as of Monday. Obviously, it's a Friday game. So we'll see. I actually think the student section has done a really good job. They moved it to the back of that end zone. And the student section, at least from what I've observed, has been packed up in the rafters, up in the upper deck. So whatever those couple thousand, if it's not a sellout, like you mentioned, I think it is just people in the surrounding area. And Friday night, like you said, is tough, right? Friday night football, if you have kids in middle school, high school, it's tough. At the same time, this is a primetime game on ESPN. I think people are excited for it. I think people are excited that the team's undefeated. So I wouldn't be surprised if those couple thousand seats sold.
Yeah.
And then another thing too, as well. I didn't say this part, but I live in Syracuse. But if I was someplace else living, take the whole family, Friday off work early,
Yeah.
Tailgating early Friday. So that's always a positive thing to do too, as well. So there's, it all depends what's going on.
No, but I'm happy you brought that up. And honestly, the reason that I brought up what he said is because it actually just struck me as a pretty raw answer. Like him honestly saying, even though he's 2-0 through his first 2 games, like, hey, we haven't done enough yet. I think he was really kind of saying, honestly, and I know that's going to piss some longtime fans off, but I think he's really trying to say, like, he's been at places where football was absolutely, undoubtedly the main event. And Syracuse right now at this point in time is not that way. And he's saying we need to do more to get some of the casual fans on board to really feel like they'd prefer to be here than anything else.
Yes.
Albeit, like, obviously, like you said, some people have kids and things like that.
But another thing, too, he has to realize and know he's new here and he's building a great foundation. Totally great. But being consistent, Syracuse has not been consistent over the years. So, therefore, their fan base has, well, should I do this or watch it on TV? That type of stuff. So, therefore, as he's building, the fans will show up.
Yeah,
but that's what I
build
think
it-
he's trying to say.
Build it and they will come.
Yes.
I think that he gets it though. I think Fran Brown very much gets it because he's had those experiences in the South, in Georgia. That is everything on game day. There is no other ball game in town. The harsh truth is
They
that
close school.
No, literally.
The
Like,
heart-
people need to understand
in
this.
Georgia, in Alabama, in the South, the harsh truth is that in Syracuse, it just isn't that way, So
We need our kids in school here in Syracuse, unfortunately.
You hate to see it. But listen, a little bit more juice. I'm jumping around a little, but I think this is a good time to bring it up. Syracuse Athletics has actually debuted a special logo. They're going to be celebrating the 44th anniversary of the JMA Dome on that day. So they'll have celebrations throughout the Stanford game for this special anniversary. I think it's worth bringing up once because I know we have this conversation about packing the Dome a lot, but I just have to know, from the player perspective, how much do you think selling out the Dome and packing the Dome really matters?
It matters a lot. It honestly does. As a player, it's funny. When I was being recruited, I said to myself, I wanted to go to the biggest stadium with the most people there. At the time, it was Michigan and Penn State, I think. But coming to the Dome, it was 50,000 people, and the noise just magnifies. And I have been inside there multiple times where you can't hear the person next to you. And it's just that. It's a great feeling. It's just totally a great feeling. And we'll get there. And they're experiencing now, but, Coach has to be just a little patient. And as they keep winning, the players, the fans will show up.
as the wins pile up, I think that Dome gets louder and louder as the year goes on.
Completely agree. Notes are structured a little differently today, so I'm going to run things a little differently. We're going to get into a few of the Stanford players, but I just wanted to point out, Rachel has this section that says numbers that jump off the page for SU. Maybe I'll read you guys a couple of those, and I'll get your thoughts and feelings on what those numbers say or mean to you. The first one that I want to point out is the Orange are ranked 41st in Division I by scoring 34.5 points per outing. How have we felt about that offensive production through the first 2 games?
I think you have to feel good about the offense. I had down as my note for this week, right? It's been Gadsden and it's been Trevor Pena. Gadsden has 13 catches for 201 yards, 3 touchdowns. Pena has 12 catches for 166 yards, 4 touchdowns. We know all about Kyle McCord. He has a 69% completion rate, 735 yards, 8 TDs through 2 games. I think the question becomes, and I don't know if it becomes a question against Stanford, but eventually here, even if it's not until UNLV, Pena and Gadsden are going to be the flashing targets. Everybody has read the book on Pena and Gadsden here at some point. Potentially we're at that point now. So who else emerges as a receiver threat? Is it Jackson Meeks? Is it Valari? Umari Hatcher, Yazid Haynes? I think somebody else is going to have to come into the equation just based on the fact that teams are going to know about those 2 guys.
Well, when I look at what you just said right there about how, the wide receivers, well, I think why getting the ball spread around like that, it's going to open the running game. And
Yes.
that's going to open up Brown and all the guys to do some good things out there. And by Kyle just keep throwing the ball the way he's doing, and wide receivers catching the ball, the running game's going to open up. So that could be another dimension they're going to have that they're going to have to try to stop.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Mungro, I'm going to give you another one here. I'm going to do this one. The offense has racked up 92 penalty yards on 11 infractions, which has them ranked 116th in D1 in terms
my
of
gosh.
hurting your team.
You know, something that's so funny, because I'm going through this notes, and I'm saying, I know which most important one is for me is, and then the one you just said, that's the most important one for me.
I'm on to you.
Because you're just giving away yards. You're giving away yards, and you're making it easier for the other team. And this is something that could be prevented very easily. It can be prevented. Some things that can't be prevented, but this could be prevented. A lot of the infractions. So once they clean that up, I think they'll even be sitting in a better driving position.
Ash, the Orange defense has participated in 133 plays, ranking them 18th in the country. Their defense has tallied no fumbles and 1 pick on the season.
Yeah, I think that actually surprises me. I think that's a little bit better than I thought. We saw them really hold their own in that Georgia Tech game. I think they held Georgia Tech to like 112 yards rushing for a team that thrives on the run. That was great in that game, and we saw the results of it with the win. So I think the defense is going to continue to develop and get better. Like I mentioned last week, I think it is interesting to see what they do in the continued absence of Marlo Wax. Does Fadil Diggs continue to be kind of that middle linebacker spot with Derek McDonald? Fran Brown said last week it was kind of just a one weekend thing. So do they continue to play with him in that spot? I think it's interesting to see the schemes and the formations that they go with in the absence of Marlo.
All right, last but not least, this one's for Rachel. The Orange currently sit at 735 yards via the pass, together with holding an average of 367.5 passing yards per contest. It has them ranked 3rd in the country.
I think to hear Syracuse is ranked 3rd in the country in any category is just immediately exhilarating. But when it comes to categories to be ranked in the top 3 I think this is probably one of the best ones when you look at this offense. We've seen what Kyle McCord has put together in terms of the passing game. It's not surprising to see that 735 because I think we've all been just like shuffling through the numbers so much, but just to see that like where that sits in terms of the national scheme of college football, I think that is a very telling statistic as to why Syracuse needs to be on a lot more radars and very soon.
The thing about Syracuse right now is that they're going to beat you through the air, but I think to your point, they can also beat you on the ground if they wanted to with LaQuint Allen. We just haven't seen enough of it yet.
Exactly. And, with all Coach Brown, I know Coach wants a lot of people to be at the Dome. Coach, all you got to do is keep winning, keep staying consistent, getting your players better every single week. That Dome will be packed. I guarantee it.
And listen, it's not just Syracuse fans who are aware and understanding of that. The Stanford team understands that could be a factor. The Stanford quarterback, Justin Lamson, is there Justin Lamson and Ashton Daniels? Okay.
Yes.
Justin Lamson said, I know it's just a hostile environment. They love football in Syracuse, so I've kind of relayed that to the offense. Be ready for some noise, especially on 3rd down. They get it.
I feel like everyone hears that 3rd down, and with the chime in your head, I can hear it.
3rd down.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's 3rd down. You're tired. You're in your stands, and you're looking at the quarterback, trying to hear things. They're the fun times. 3rd down on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
It's just a great feeling to have.
That is so funny. When you said that, I really could picture it in my head.
I can hear it.
That guy's voice, like he's not being paid enough. That guy has such a great voice, the 3rd down guy.
Give that guy a raise.
Give that guy a raise.
It's the bells.
That's what the chime. Yeah, the bells. Yes.
All of it. All right, some names to be aware of. You have quarterback Ashton Daniels, and Rachel said it. I think she nailed it. A Mr. Do-It-All of sorts. He's Stanford's leading rusher with 118 yards on the season. He's thrown for another 384. After Daniels, who still doesn't have a rushing touchdown, the Cardinals don't feature a player with more than 55 yards rushing on the season. What do you guys think?
I think that tells me, one, this is another semi-mobile quarterback that Syracuse is facing, so they're going to have to stop him with his legs. But two, that kind of leads me to what I said before. I don't think this Stanford offense really knows its identity yet. He was able to pass successfully against TCU, but they don't really appear to have much of a ground game aside from him and the quarterback scramble type of thing. So I think it will be interesting to see what Stanford's game plan is against this Syracuse defense.
Well, I think what we got to do is just make it one dimension.
Yes.
And when I say making one dimension, it's kind of like how we played Georgia. We put in the quarterback's hand. The quarterback had to make plays, not so much of throwing the ball. It's more with his legs. So I have a feeling this quarterback's going to be very similar. This team will be very similar to Stanford. Hopefully we get the quarterback rattled in there, and then now he has to run, and now we get a spy on the quarterback and make the proper tackles.
Whenever you see a mobile quarterback like that, I think it just makes you aware that they do have the potential to make big plays, but we'll just have to see if they have anybody else who can be a factor with him using his legs.
Haynes King sort of cooked this Syracuse team.
But it was Garrett Schrader of old. We said that last week, right? He cooked them, but it wasn't quite enough. But he tried. And he did succeed, I'm saying, from an individual standpoint, and personally, that dude could run.
But it's still a gamble. Like, either way, it's kind of like saying, last year when we saw Schrader play, it's kind of like, do you really want your quarterback doing that? I mean,
totally
yes, at the time, it's like, okay, yeah, that looks good. We got the first down, but taking those hits after hit after hit, and then also calling the play and staying organized, that's very tough for a young quarterback.
I mean, for any quarterback, like I'm not bringing this up jokingly in any way, but like Tua Tagovailoa, we saw the impacts of that. Like, you start to see where it really becomes not only a safety hazard, but also this is the most important player on your team, and you need to protect them. I get nervous watching Josh Allen every single game. Like there are just some quarterbacks who you just feel a little nervous about. So I see where you're coming from with that. Two other names that I want to point out on this Stanford team is Ismail Cece and Alec Manor. Both wide receivers. Cece in the passing game has found the end zone 2 times, hauling in 10 balls for 90 yards. And then Manor has reeled in 10 passes for 147 yards and 0 touchdowns in 2 games. Anyone have a beat on that?
I think, you just brought up 2 wide receivers. I think likely, because we mentioned that they don't really have a running back who they really turn to a lot. They don't really have a huge game on the ground. I think the heat this week is on Syracuse's secondary, on those DBs, whether they can get to their spots, cover those wide receivers. If they shut down the passing game, it's going to be pretty one-dimensional, and then if they shut that down, they should be in a position for success.
I'm looking at the statistics. I'm not really thrilled about it. So defense, they should have a very interesting game.
Yeah, we know what Mungro's prediction is going to be this week, but we'll get to that in a second. One other topic I wanted to bring up, I see this is written down as a topic of discussion. Really interesting.
Yes.
Tennessee has announced that beginning next season, they'll be adding a 10% talent fee to all tickets in order to raise money for the players and NIL. Who wrote this down?
Me.
Okay, why'd you write this?
I wanted to talk about this because I feel like it's just kind of a hot topic in college football this week. Like you said, they're adding a 10% talent fee, so that's going towards the players, NIL. I think it's something that could become more and more common in college football, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it. I think especially with Fran Brown and all of the talk we've heard about, needing that dedication to NIL, it maybe could be something that Syracuse does in future years. What are your thoughts?
Well, this is the first time I saw this, but I'm going to definitely ask one of my mentors actually here in Syracuse named Mark Jones. He's a graduate from Tennessee University, alumni there, and he's very involved in the program. So I'll ask him what he thinks about it, and I'll have an answer for you guys next week.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't know how I feel about it yet. I think the harsh reality of college football is that it is becoming more and more NIL-based, more and more, money to the players. We'll see what happens there with all those discussions. But I do think that this has the potential to be something widespread.
The thing that worries me about it in a place like here off the bat is I feel like ticket prices are already rising as it is.
Yeah.
They
just did some things at the Dome just recently.
That's my point. There's less seats already now. The prices are rising, especially at a program where we're not all as a community bought in. I would hate to see something like that decrease the attendance at the Dome.
Yeah.
That being said, I And I've been this way since the beginning. Like, I was never an NIL hater. I understand that, the transfer portal and all these things have changed the game, but like, that's life. Like, that's the way I've always viewed it. I know Moten, if you watch any of our basketball stuff, is big against that. And I get the old school mindset. But like, I just think so many things change in life. And if you're a coach that can change with it.
Listen, Moten is just pissed because he wasn't, the stuff's not going on right now. He's playing like I am. Okay, that's all that
out
is.
on his money.
Yeah, exactly. Now, if he was playing now, Moten would be all for it.
No, that's actually such a good point.
That is the truth. That's what all of us veterans think about always.
But
about
you know
that
what? I like this. This is off topic, but I honestly thought about you when I was thinking about that today, because honestly, I don't know if you felt this way or if anyone felt this way. There's a part of me that likes the idea of NIL, even from the standpoint of young athletes understanding how to manage their money. Because I can't imagine the feeling of being broke as a joke in college and then you're propelled into the NFL and you have like all this wealth you need to figure out how to manage.
Broke as a joke in college. Maybe broke as a joke as a youngster.
Right. Yeah. No, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like to go from that
yes, 100%.
to the NFL or to a place where all of a sudden you do have money and you don't know how to manage it. I honestly thought about that today.
Well, when you're talking about taking 10% for ticket sales, stuff like that, there's other ways you can do it. Like, for example, here at Syracuse, why not 10% of alcohol sales? Because this university there's only a few universities that sell alcohol on campus. Okay, so I mean, there's ways to do it if they really want to get it done.
Yeah,
that's I love that idea.
I absolutely am by no means advocating for them to raise the ticket prices. I actually think the ticket prices are kind of absurd as they are now. But I just think it could be one of those things. Like you said, the harsh truth is NIL. This could be the harsh truth 5 years down the road.
Yep.
One of my favorite things that's come out of this year in terms of NIL is that the city of Syracuse partnered with Syracuse Athletics and several restaurants around the area that a portion of I think it was you could tip a portion to NIL.
Yes.
Like directly from your bill, at the restaurant. So it's there's ways to do it instead of directly addressing the ticket price, which like we said, we're trying to also get more people in the dome. So it's how far do you want to push that ticket,
Can you make it a little more hidden so people don't? You said the alcohol sales. Then people aren't thinking about it. With the ticket sales, it's just right up in front of your face, 10% talent fee while you're buying it.
Or I got something even better yet. Something better yet.
Let's hear it.
Okay,
What do you got, baby? Cook for me.
This is what I got. They stopped serving alcohol third quarter.
Mm-hmm. I know you're not about to say
fourth quarter.
Mungro.
50% goes to Syracuse.
Mungro!
In fourth quarter, still serving alcohol.
That is a terrible idea.
Why?
That is
that
horrific.
will never happen, part one.
But okay,
because we can't have people drunk driving, Mungro. That's why they stop it in the third quarter.
There's a lot of different things. I mean,
no, I hear where you're coming from.
I know this is off the subject, but you're talking about tickets. Okay.
Yes.
The Post Malone tickets that were just here. Post Malone was just here over the week. I was going to think about maybe I should go to see go check them out a little bit. $250.
That was the lowest ticket.
For the lawn?
For the lawn?
Come on.
Oh, not for the lawn.
Let me tell you something
because
funny.
you can't see anything on
Listen,
that lawn.
the funniest part about it is I could hear vaguely from my house. I could hear the music.
Wait, Mungro's like...
I told the wife, listen, honey, we'll just put the radio on and just jam out like that.
This is for free.
That's $500 that you're dropping.
We have Post Malone at home.
Then $22 for beer? Oh, my goodness. That's what I heard.
You know what? I get it.
But, I mean, let's talk about football. But
damn. No, but honestly...
That's a lot of money.
I agree.
just for 2 hours?
I agree.
And
for
you
the
know
lawn,
what?
that's astounding.
And then the lawn?
That's astounding.
I'm allergic to grass, damn it.
No, because that's the last thing about it.
Sneezing, itching?
No, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
But you can't see from that lawn.
You can't hear from that lawn.
You can't see.
You can't hear. It's literally like a giant echo. You could barely see the person. They look like an ant. Like the only good seats are the ones that are way expensive. I have to say.
The amp is a nice summer concert experience if you're not really there. If you're just going to drink and have a good time, it's a nice time. But if you're serious about the artist, do not buy lawn tickets.
Yeah, no, definitely don't.
I know that now.
Have an anchor at your news station who has season tickets at the amp and use
Give
those.
you her box seat.
That's crazy.
Right.
Thanks.
Football.
Anyways, sorry.
Okay.
We started that subject.
Back to football.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm sure people have comments to say about it. All right. Last topic I wanted to cover here. Let's get into this every week until it actually happens. Is Syracuse ranked if they win this game?
This is what I thought about. And I thought about what we were talking about last time about, you're saying, well, I don't want Syracuse ranked. I'd rather have them not ranked. And so, listen, when you come to a university, to a top program in the country, you want to be ranked. As a player, you are that's something that your friends are talking about, your family members are talking about. Yeah, they're ranked such and such. The only problem is you want to stay there and continue to move up. You don't want to go backwards. So, the players, yes, the players do want to be ranked because that's what they came to school for, to a Division I, big-time Power 5 school to be ranked. And I do believe that, they win this game, they will be in the low ranking, and they deserve that.
I think you always have to look at, I think the rank conversation every week, fans in certain fan bases just don't look at. You have to look at the rest of the teams and what's going on. So if you look at the bottom of the AP poll right now, number 19, Louisville, they play Georgia Tech this week. That's an ACC game. Number 20, Iowa State. 21, Clemson. I think that could be a little bit of a trap game for Clemson. Clemson plays NC State. Obviously, I think Clemson fans would like to believe that they're going to confidently beat NC State, but NC State was a team that was ranked in the top 25 this year, has fallen out because they got blown out against Tennessee, and then has 2, I believe, FCS wins. So NC State doesn't really know what they're made of yet, and I can bet you that they are going to be out to prove something against Clemson this week. Then you have number 22, Nebraska, number 23, NIU. They're only ranked because they beat Notre Dame. They'll fall out the minute that they have a sizable loss.
What a great story anyway.
Great story
Sorry.
anyway.
Just got to say it.
Number 24, Illinois. So Illinois and Nebraska play each other this week in those 22-24 spots. And then you have 25, Texas A&M. And then Memphis and Boise State are the 2 teams ahead of Syracuse in terms of the voting. I think that Syracuse could be ranked. If they win this week, I don't know if they should be ranked in terms of the caliber of opponents that they've beat, but I think it depends on what goes on here in the bottom of the rank currently.
And I will just confidently say it. I do not think Syracuse will be ranked after this game. At some point, I think they should be ranked. I just don't think that if they beat Stanford, this will be the time. I really don't. I think that if it's coming in week 5. I felt that since the beginning, and I still feel that way now.
I agree with you, but I think there's possibility that they are. But I think deserving-wise, they should be. Let's see what you do against UNLV.
Let's see what you do against UNLV.
I think honestly, it depends on how they beat Stanford. If they beat Stanford.
Hey, I want you to be dishonest this time. Next
Just lie.
Just lie. Just be dishonest.
Oh, am I saying that a lot? Stop, Mungro. Now I'm self-conscious. But I think that it depends on how they beat Stanford. If it's a game and they cover the spread and it's a game they really put up a lot of points and do what they probably should do against this team, I think that lends to a lot more votes. If it's a close game and it's not necessarily the win that we all want to see against this team, I think that doesn't help their case in terms of getting on the poll this week.
And you took the words out of my mouth.
Mungro looked like a proud father just watching you say that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And I think it also determines on that one.
He roasts me and then praises me.
No, that was pouring on.
I also think the truth is, as much as we've been saying the UNLV thing in terms of that's our opinion, at the end of the day, if you blow out Stanford and if you blow out Holy Cross and then you're 4-0, there's not going to be a ton of 4-0 teams left in the country at that point. So could come after Holy Cross.
And I'm not saying that it couldn't happen. I'm just I like to predict things boldly.
Yes.
That's just how I roll. Speaking of, let's do some predictions and then giddy up on out of here. Who wants to go first? I think you.
I have my score.
Let's
I've
go.
had my score all day.
And I have mine written down.
Okay.
So don't think that if it ends up being the same, just know it's written down. I'm actually going to show Mungro it.
Okay.
Just don't say it out loud.
I want to see now if I take her score, because I know what I want already.
But you take my score every week.
All right. Syracuse is a 9.5-point favorite in this game. I think that's a pretty good spread. Oh, God. He doesn't like
going to take my score. That's what he's going to say.
Really?
That's what he's going to.
Well, let's see if I take it first.
Wait, what if I take it too?
All right. My prediction for this game is 38-17 Syracuse wins.
Oh, my God.
Was that the score?
Was that yours, Rachel?
That's what I had.
Okay.
I had 38-21.
I got 38-24.
I don't think Syracuse...
I was going to go with 21, but since
you
I
could
saw
still
that...
do that. You can tell me.
No.
I don't think Syracuse allows the Stanford offense to score more than 2 touchdowns. You can put me on the record saying that right now.
Okay. Bet.
38-17.
So we're all in 38, you're saying? What's Rachel?
I was 38-17. I was the same as Ashley. I had it written down also.
Well,
I'm doing 38-21. So is that we're going with the over, right? And then you guys are, I think, going with the under. We'll look that up to confirm it.
Covering the spread, yeah.
No, there'll be like an over under as far as the total points.
Yeah.
I want to say, I'll look it up. I thought that was like 57 or something this week. But the spread, Syracuse right now is a 9.5-point favorite. So do what you will with that. But
I think they cover, and I'm pretty confident in saying that.
Right. I think we all kind of think that at this point.
I think they're going to cover it.
But then at the same time, like, I don't know, that makes, I would not like this spread in terms of betting on it myself.
Why not?
I don't know. I just think 9.5 is a tricky number.
Yep.
9.5 is a tricky
It's a
number. I
tricky
will
number.
give you that. It's
Like,
not quite 10.
No, it's not quite 10, and I think I'd rather, like, if I'm ever going for a spread, go for a lower number. I think those big numbers tend to get a little janky.
That's
As we
Vegas,
know,
baby.
Vegas always
That's
knows.
Vegas, baby. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anybody have any final thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up?
Nope, we'll see you there. Friday night lights, baby.
I'm at the call right now after this and get some tickets. So
Okay.
right.
a little late.
Hey,
Hopefully-
Friday
Hopefully,
night.
ticket prices didn't go up.
Pack the dome for no other reason than Mungro, a former player, a Super Bowl champion, says it really matters. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.